E is for enemy sees Nerissa invading the Guardians' dreams and making them face their worst nightmares. Will's nightmare starts out pleasant, with her and her friends having dinner at the Silver Dragon, and then all of a sudden, Cedric rises out of the table and eats Mr. Huggles before turning his attention to Matt. Will tries to use the heart, but it just turns black in her hands. She turns to the rest of the girls, but they're just simply laughing and continuing to eat and not even paying attention to her. And the dream ends with Cedric swallowing Matt whole. Wow. Foreshadowing for Y is for yield much?
Enjoy, kiddos!
Thanks, Grandma. Come on, guys, get him out of here. My grandma will freak. Oh, my hair! Ah!
And so we see that Will's worst fear is losing Matt, and I imagine that fear is more heightened now that he's decided he wants to help fight evil and keeps throwing himself into dangerous situations. It could also be a sense of guilt on her part that simply by being close to her, Matt is always going to have a target on his back. There's also her fear of not being good enough, of not being able to save him. The heart turns black and she's powerless to save the person that she loves the most. I've also always interpreted the girls laughing and not helping as being a reference to Will's life in Faden Hills, which is never explored in the show but is referenced in the comics. When Will's parents divorced in the comics, Will struggled to cope with it and became depressed. Her friends didn't really know what to say or how to help, so they just stopped associating with her at all. They abandoned her, which is a huge source of her trust issues and insecurity at the beginning of the comics. And I feel like that could be what's being referenced here, Will's fear of the Guardians turning their backs on her like her old friends did. So it's sort of a variety of deep, dark fears here. We've got losing Matt because he's too close to her and because he keeps throwing himself into dangerous situations. It's not being able to use her powers to save the people that she loves. The heart turning black in her hand, losing her ability to control the heart, losing her powers, and her friends abandoning her, turning her back on her, and leaving her all alone in the world again like she was before she left Faden Hills. There are a lot of levels to this nightmare, and it's very, very sad. But that's all there is in terms of Matt content for this episode, so we'll skip right on to H is for Hunted. There's a very brief Matt moment in this episode. H is for Hunted sees Will create an astral drop, which is essentially a copy of herself with no memories or emotions or sense of identity, to do chores for her. It's not a great idea, but she thinks she'll get away with it. Unfortunately for Will, Nerissa finds out about this and uses her power over quintessence to turn the copy from an astral drop into an alter mirror, a full copy of Will, complete with all her memories, emotions, and sense of self. Alter Will proceeds to cause absolute chaos for the real Will and everyone else around her. This all happens on the same day as Galgita's going away party at the Sheffield Institute, where of course Matt's band are playing. Alter Will makes her way through the crowd and onto the stage where she dances beside Matt.
Matt and Nigel sound great, don't they? Awesome! This is the best party I've ever been to!
But that's all we get, and I actually don't know if Matt ever found out that wasn't Will. I imagine she told him, but maybe she didn't. Who knows? Who knows? There is a tiny moment in Jai's for Joe. All the girls are on holiday, well, except Haylin, who's having to spend her summer vacation working at the Silver Dragon, and they're all having a conference call together. Cornelia goes on and on about how great a time she's having before saying that the one thing missing is, she obviously says Caleb, but Will also interjects and says Matt. So Will's missing Matt while she's on holiday, which is very cute. In Case for Knowledge, it's the first day back at school after the summer holidays, and we get a brief scene of everyone eating lunch together where we see Will and Matt sitting next to each other in a cute moment with Tarani putting her arms around them. Later in the episode, the group are leaving school when Yanlin and Caleb pull up in the Silver Dragon van. Caleb tells them they need to go to Kandrakar and asks where Tarani is, but Tarani is stuck in the principal's office. And this leads to one of the funniest lines in the entire series.
She's stuck.
I can fill in.
No offense, but I'd rather not see you filling in her tights.
So, not what I meant.
The writers were insane for this. She's talking about his bulge. This is a children's show. They are children themselves. They are 14 years old and she's talking about his bulge and tights. But it absolutely sends me. It's the funniest line. It actually, every time I watch it, it genuinely makes me laugh out loud. Like, out loud. It's sweet that Matt wants to help, though. And he tries, you know? He tries. When the gang gets to Meridian, he grabs a sword and a shield and gets to work. It doesn't exactly go well for him, but we love him for trying. And a bit later, he seems impressed when Will manages to use quintessence for the first time.
But we might have quintessence!
It's working. Kinda.
Quintessence!
We get a really sweet moment later in the episode when Will is lamenting their loss against Nerissa.
The Oracle said Nerissa would be as strong as all 5 of us, not stronger.
Hey, don't take it so hard. All 5 of you weren't here.
Ah, duh! That's why she left. It's a total divide and conquer. She's going after Tarani!
He's such an angel. I just weep. He's so sweet. I'm literally that emoji of the big puppy dog eyes. Like, you know the one. The big sad eyes. That's me watching this scene. He helps in the next battle by folding to Kandrakar with Blunk to go and get Yanlin and Halinor and bring them to face Nerissa, which also gives us the closest thing to LGBT content we ever got in this show, so thank you, Matt, what an ally, for instigating this scene. L is for loser. So, I hope you've been enjoying all of the cute, fun moments so far, because it's about to get really miserable. Nothing but pain for the next 7 episodes. Buckle up and get ready to suffer. This episode begins with what appears to be a very cute Will and Matt scene. Matt is lying in his bed when Will appears at his window and we get this very sweet moment.
Hey, I was just thinking about you.
Sometimes Matt feels like a Boy Meets World character. I mean, he was, but like, you know. Unfortunately, this is not a cute Will and Matt scene, signalled by Mr. Huggles freaking out in Will's presence, something he only ever does around evil. Sure enough, this isn't Will. This is Nerissa, because of course it is.
Ow! Mr. H, what is your damage? I don't know why he's freaking out like this. Sorry.
No apologies necessary, dear heart.
Nerissa!
So Nerissa has kidnapped Matt, unbeknownst to the rest of the group. Later at school, Will tries to call Matt thinking he's off sick, but all she gets is his answering machine.
It's Matt. Do the message thing.
Hey, Matt. I didn't see you at school today, so, I hope you're not sick. Or not too sick. Well, if you are, I make a mean chicken soup. Actually, the Silver Dragon makes it, but, I mean, I could pick some up.
Child, you are babbling.
Right. Anyway, Matt, call me when you're free.
I love Child You Are Babbling. Will is so cute and just utterly hopeless. But it's very sweet that she's offering to go and get chicken soup for Matt and bring it to his house. We love a thoughtful girlfriend. Of course, Matt isn't homesick. He's atop Mount Thanos with Nerissa, and there's a lot going on in this scene, so let's just watch.
Let me out!
I'd love to. You're not of much use to me in there.
I'm not gonna be of any use to you, period.
We shall see. Oh, hostile little creature, isn't he? In this light, you can almost see the anger. Perfect. He shall be the first to serve me. Here, little dormouse, take your anger back again.
Stop! Mr. Huggles!
Huggles? Not very dignified. But you know, there was a beast of legend that fed upon anger. Kor, he was called. Yes, Kor the Destroyer. That will do nicely.
What did you do to him?
I wouldn't worry about him, dear heart. After all, you're next.
Big Caleb vibes from Matt. I love it. I'm not going to be any use to you, period. King shit. So, we see that Nerissa has a plan up her sleeve for Matt, and we'll soon find out exactly what it is. It's lunch at school the following day, and Will still hasn't heard from Matt, which does sort of beg the question of what the heck his parents think is going on here. I know in the following episode there's, like, an explanation, but, like, when they got up in the morning and Matt was AWOL and then didn't reappear, no one questioned it. Will didn't go around to his house to check on him, discover no one's seen him all day. Her parents didn't call her and be like, hey, have you seen Matt? Because he's been gone for like over 24 hours. It's just weird to me. Anyway.
Let me guess. Matt's still AWOL?
Boys don't like needy girls.
Ed, chill. Hey, Matt, it's me. Hope you're feeling better.
We then cut to Mount Thanos to see that Matt is definitely not feeling better. Nerissa tells Matt that her nights of vengeance were a disappointment, but she thinks that Matt will be a good replacement. Matt obviously refuses, but when has that ever bothered Nerissa? She doesn't take consent very seriously. Let's take a look at what happens.
My nights of vengeance were a disappointment. I think you'd make an ideal replacement.
Yeah? Except I've got this little problem with authority and pure evil.
Then of what use are you, Kor?
Looks like you lose.
I do appreciate loyalty, but I cannot tolerate disobedience.
Stop! You're hurting him!
And you hate me for it, don't you? You are Shagon, my angel of malice. Where Kor's power feeds on anger, yours will be fueled by the hatred of your enemies.
Yes, mistress.
And so Matt becomes Shagon, the angel of malice, and we won't see the real Matt again until S is for self. Despite that, there is still content to cover before then, so we'll go over it. Side note, as much as Matt is one of my favourite characters and it makes me sad that we lost him for such a big chunk of this season, Shagon is such a good villain that I can accept it. Everyone loves Shagon. I always wonder how Jason Marsden felt when he found out he was getting this character. Like, he auditioned for this recurring cool guy boyfriend that's in a band and got given the scariest villain on the show. That must have been awesome. What a guy. I love Jason. I love Jason Marsden. Anyway, it's time to dive into the roller coaster that is Will, Matt, and Shagon. Back at Sheffield, we get this small moment of Will still wondering where Matt has gone.
My mother is ruining my life
Caught you talking to Nigel again.
and confiscated my cell phone.
Which reminds me.
You're calling Matt again?
Yes.
No, there he is. Matt? Eric!
As much as everyone thinks she's overreacting, it's clear that Will is concerned about why Matt isn't responding, and it's probably not because she thinks anything's happened to him. She's probably worried that he's just ghosting her. When I was a teenager, my then boyfriend had a habit of just disappearing for days without telling me and being baffled when he returned to find me all upset that he'd been ignoring my calls and texts for like 4 days. And you'd think I would have learned after a while, but no, I got upset every time because I was a depressed mess. But my point is, Will is probably having some kind of internal panic that Matt has changed his mind about her and is just deliberately ignoring her, which is a fair concern, I think. But for better or worse, she's about to find out exactly why Matt hasn't been answering her calls. The girls cut through a construction yard on their way home from school and encounter Shagon and the Knights of Destruction for the first time. The Knights of Destruction feed on negative emotions, and since 4 of the girls are having a really bad day, this is the perfect time for the Knights to attack. Chowdart feeds on Helen's desperation for Eric's attention, Ember feeds on Irma's pain over hurting Martin, Cor feeds on Tarani's anger at her mum, and Shagon, well...
Stay away from her!
The way I stayed away from Matt?
Matt? Did you hurt him?
How much would you hate me if I had?
You're about to find out!
Tickles.
Get down! Irma! Tarani, over here! Now! That guy did something to Matt! That's his story! Get us out of here!
Back at the Silver Dragon basement, Cornelia recaps what's just happened, being the only one with a clear head this week. She points out that Shagon wants Will to hate him, and Will replies that Shagon knew his stuff. But for now, she has no idea whether Shagon has hurt Matt or whether it's a story he made up just to get a rise out of her. But considering no one's seen Matt for days, he's not answering his calls or texts, it's not exactly a stretch to believe that something might have really happened to him. And as they all leave the dragon, the Knights show up again, and Shagon takes the opportunity to taunt Will once more.
Destroy me now, and you'll never learn the fate of your boyfriend.
Time to trade dance partners. You take Glowworm.
Gotta zen. Must zen. But later I am so having a tantrum!
Honestly, the mind tricks that Narissa played on the characters in this season were so cruel, and the writers were evil for coming up with it. Like, this is a kid's show, but some of the shit in this arc was so dark. The girls managed to win the battle against the Knights, and Shagon leaves with these parting words.
I can still feel your hatred, Will. It shall be your undoing, but not tonight.
And if you thought that was bad, it's about to get so much worse. Emma's for Mercy begins with Will having a nightmare, which shows just how worried she is about Matt.
Matt?
Will?
Matt? Matt, where are you?
Here.
Can't I just one stream of unicorns?
It's funny because her entire dream is right. Matt and Shagon are the same person, but she won't figure that out for quite a long time yet. But I really feel for her in this moment because clearly she's struggling with the uncertainty over what happened to Matt, and she won't get answers for months. I don't know how she didn't lose her mind completely in that time. I would have. After school, Will heads to Herbert Olsen's pet shop where he's having a nightmare of his own.
Close the door!
Hey, Mr. Olsen! Need a hand?
If it isn't too much trouble.
As it turns out, Mr. Olsen has been a bit distracted, and the reason why floors Will completely.
How'd they all get out, Mr. Olsen?
I have no idea. Oh, I'm so distracted today. But you know why.
I do?
Didn't you get a letter from Matt? Really? His parents got one, and they're terribly upset, of course. I'd have thought that you... Well, here, let me... Dear Grandpa, I'm Hollywood bound. They say a new rock band forms there every 5 minutes, and I know I'm lead guitar in the next one.
Don't worry about Mr. Huggles, he's with me. Take care of yourself. Love, Matt? It's really his handwriting. And he's really gone. With no goodbye.
Oh, don't be too angry with him, Will, dear. Sometimes young men get overwhelmed by school or work.
Or which.
Oh, no. Matt's left me a little discombobulated and short-handed. I don't suppose you'd be interested in part-time employment?
I think I'd like that.
Perhaps you should check with your mother first.
Oh, I'll just tell her I found a job that, makes me happy.
We as the audience obviously know this is bullshit, but Will doesn't. And what's worse, she thinks all her fears have been confirmed, that Matt left because he couldn't handle her being a guardian and just decided to ghost her instead of formally breaking up with her. Instead of just talking to her and telling her how he felt, he just disappeared off to California and didn't tell her anything. I suppose the one positive from this is that she thinks Matt's okay, she's just been dumped. And she decides to take a job at the pet shop to cheer herself up. She's so strong. I love her. She's like, this sucks, this is horrible, but I'm going to take it in my stride and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to pick myself back up and I'm going to deal with this head on. I love that for her. We love strength. Later in the episode, Will is out for dinner with her mum and Mr. Collins when Shagon attacks. Susan almost plummets to her death off a pier, which is just wild, whilst Will battles our feathered friend underneath the platform.
Quintessence!
Hang on!
You don't mess with family!
Aw, but it's the perfect way to mess with you! Dear Will, sorry I didn't attack you sooner. But I'm Heatherfield bound. They say a new group of evil knights forms there every 5 minutes, and I know I'm lead guitar in the next one.
That was from Matt's letter!
I guess faking Matt's handwriting isn't as hard as you think.
Where's Matt? What have you done to him?
No, it's too easy. And I'm enjoying our little game much too much to end it now. But I can't wait for round 2.
Dean! I'm slipping!
No! I won't let you fall!
The scream that Will lets out when Shagon reveals that he faked the letter just goes right through my heart. It goes into my soul. It's so powerful. So now Will knows that Shagon wrote the note to mess with her and Matt's family, and even worse, she's back to square one on not knowing where on earth Matt really is, and she's furious. But at the last minute, even though Shagon could have killed her, he didn't. Why? Could Matt's spirit be having an influence over Shagon's actions? Who can say? The next day, Will is back at the pet shop, and to her surprise, someone is waiting for her. But all is not as it seems.
Nice anti-Shagon weather. You shouldn't crawl out from under his rock until dark.
Will, come in! Great news!
Hey, Will.
Matt!
Isn't it wonderful?
Where have you... I thought...
That dropping out was a total bonehead move. That leaving you was a total bonehead move.
I have worms. In the back, that is. I should be gone 5 minutes, at least.
I was so worried. I was sure this Shagon guy had done something to you.
What makes you so sure he hasn't? After all, faking Matt's appearance isn't as hard as you think.
Shagon!
Yes, my pet, it's me. With just a bit of borrowed glamour.
Oh, it is so odd.
Sorry. I just need some disinfectant.
Is it? I didn't think so.
Trust me, it's coming.
Great. We'll hang. As soon as I get old Matt's life in order.
This is truly one of the cruelest moments of the entire show. The sheer joy Will feels at having Matt back, the relief of knowing that he wasn't hurt, as well as the relief of discovering that she hasn't been dumped and that Matt still loves her, getting to kiss him and hug him, only for Shagon to reveal that it's just him glamoured as Matt. And once again, she's had her heart broken, realising that she's back to square one. It's pure evil and my heart just shatters for her every time I watch this scene. And now that we know that Shagon can glamour as Matt, he's going to insert himself into the void that Matt left and take over his life, which is going to affect everyone. His parents, his friends, his grandfather, his band. Well, it's going to affect everyone. It's just so evil. Fun fact, the fight scene that follows was actually edited down in some countries as it was seen as being too violent, and if that doesn't tell you how dark this episode actually is, nothing will. Shagon taunts Will again during this fight, and Kaylee Stables gives us this fantastic scream.
It's us! Our hate! We're making him... Cornelia!
Come on, Will. Is that the best you could do to save friends, family, and poor missing Matt? Your train's about to leave the station. Permanently.
You know, I only just thought of something while I was writing this script, but because Shagon has taken over Matt's life, Will can't even report Matt as a missing person, because to everyone else it looks like he's physically there. She can't do anything to get law enforcement to help her find the real Matt, because they're just going to go and find Shagon glamoured as Matt and be like, he's right here. It's so evil. Anyway, back to the scene. Shagon decides to let Will go again, which Will finds odd, so she decides to prod him for answers.
Oh, exquisite. No, I can't bear to end this now. I'd miss the purity of your hatred. It's so addictive, wouldn't you agree?
Wait, you're letting me go? Again?
The game's just too much fun.
Not that much fun. And this can't be what Nerissa wants. What's really going on here? Can't finish what you started?
I'll finish when I'm sated, and not a moment sooner. Just ask your boyfriend. Oh, wait, you can't.
I don't believe you. If you really hurt Matt, why show me any mercy? There's good inside.
Please. I'm so bad I hate myself.
You do, don't you? Ha! You don't really hate any of us. Nerissa's making you attack, and you hate yourself for obeying her.
No.
He doesn't seem so big bad anymore. Yeah, way to kill him with kindness.
Compassion and mercy are more powerful than hate, Shagon. I can teach you that.
No.
And you can help me find Matt.
No! The only Matt you'll ever find is me at Sheffield every day, reminding you that the real Matt is gone. Soon enough, you'll learn to hate me again!
I'm starting already.
I assume the good inside Shagon is actually the essence of Matt, because I don't believe Shagon himself has any compassion at all. But that line when he leaves saying he'll be at Sheffield every day reminding Will that Matt is gone is just so cruel. This episode is evil. And so once again, poor Will is left with zero answers about what happened to the real Matt. And then her estranged father shows up, just to add to the fun. She's having such a great week. But that's it for this episode. There's only one tiny scene in N is for Narcissist that relates to Will and Matt, and this one is in the first 10 seconds of the episode.
So, Nerissa's new minions, these Knights of Destruction, attacked you and your families?
And Matt.
So we see that Will is still really upset about this, but she's powering through it. Honestly, I don't know why she's not more upset. Like, Matt could be dead, and she's mostly living her normal life. I get that having her in a depresso espresso for 5 episodes probably wouldn't work very well for the writing and the plot, but they pulled it off with Haylin later in the season, so I don't know, maybe Will is just really good at compartmentalizing her feelings. I just know if it were me, I would be having such a worse reaction than she is. I don't remember there being any other Matt-related lines in N, O, P, or Q, and I've seen these episodes like 1,000 times because they're some of my favourites, so I think I'm okay to move on to Relentless, but apologies if I missed anything. Let me know in the comments if I forgot like some important Will and Matt content from somewhere in the next 4 episodes. Well, actually, Serena mentions Matt briefly in Q is for Quarry when she says that Will has a big crush on a boy named Matt. Well, because apparently Tony didn't get the memo that the two of them have actually been dating since like the previous winter. But apart from that, there is nothing I can think of that we need to cover, and Will doesn't really talk about the situation between her and Matt and Shagon, so let's just skip ahead to ours for Relentless. In this episode, we see a bit more of Shagon as Matt at the Sheffield Institute. We first encounter him in the Sheffield cafeteria, where Yan Lin is temporarily working so the Guardians can keep her safe from Nerissa. And Haylin spots Shagon talking to her, Eric, and flags it to Will.
I know. Sometimes I want to believe that really is Matt.
Well, get over it. That's Shagon, glamored as Matt.
Excuse us. We need a word.
Listen, Shagon, get scarce or...
Or what? You reveal who I am? Who you really are? Here's the deal. I keep an eye on you, you keep an eye on me. Get used to it. You alright?
So we can see here how having Shagon glamoured as Matt affects Will, having to constantly see the image of the boy she loves in a place where they spent most of their time, knowing all the while that that isn't him. It's just a demon wearing his face. But also, how much do you want to punch Shagon? He's just so deliciously infuriating. Later in the episode, Haylin catches Shagon observing Yanlin through the kitchen window and gets him put in detention.
Just seeing who's on the menu.
Yeah, well, enjoy detention, Shagon.
Yo, Knickerbocker! Classes are for losers! Matthew Olson? In my office! Now!
This has nothing to do with Will, but I just wanted to bring it up because I feel so bad for Matt. Like, when he gets back to the real world, he is going to have so much damage control to deal with. We never actually see any of that, but I imagine it was happening off camera. Like, Matt is the sweetest, most dependable person, and he's been replaced by the shittiest creature in the universe who is just ruining his reputation. He's been put in detention, has been having arguments with his bandmates. I assume he's probably been pretty shit at home with his parents. He's probably not been particularly helpful to his grandfather. Like, his whole family and friends and teachers and everyone must be baffled by this dramatic mood shift, and he's going to have to come back and try and rectify all of that, and that's such a shame because he didn't do anything wrong. That evening, Witch, Yanlin, Caleb and Blanc are in the school waiting for Shagon to leave, but he hasn't, because of course he hasn't. And then we get this really weird scene where every corridor the group go down, Shagon steps out and blocks their way, and it's just so random. Like, I get they're trying to avoid having a magical battle in the middle of the school hallway when presumably there are still staff in the building, but it's just so weird. Like, I don't know if Shagon, when he's glamoured as Matt, still, like, has the strength of Shagon. I don't know, like, but I still feel like Caleb could have just punched him in the face. Like, he can't get detention for it. He doesn't even go to the school. He doesn't even go here. Like, he could have just punched him. Anyway. This culminates with the team getting surrounded by the Knights in the school gym, where Shagon blasts Will and knocks her to the ground. And that's pretty much it for this episode, just the usual fighting and stuff for the rest of the runtime. But we are about to go into the biggest Will and Matt episode of the series, so without further ado, here's S's for Self. In this episode, Irma has organised a battle of the bands and announces it over the school radio station, only for Tarani to point out that this is a terrible idea since Shagon is posing as Matt, and...
What if he tries to play some kind of evil I don't know, guitar of Hypnos. There's no such thing as a guitar of Hypnos. I'm sure of it. Almost. Okay, we're doomed.
No, we're not. Shagon's here to spy on us, not blow his cover in the public eye.
Still, better keep a public eye on Shagon.
Oh, I always do.
I feel for Will here again because she feels like she has to keep constant watch on Shagon, but it must be really difficult for her considering he looks just like Matt. Even after he's been gone for, I don't know, weeks, months, I don't know how long it's been, I can't imagine it's become any easier for her. He just reminds her constantly, just by looking the way he does, that she still has no idea where the real Matt is, and at this point, she probably is beginning to wonder if she'll ever see him again at all. However, Will's hypothesis about Shagon singing is proved wrong when later that day, Rec 55 meet in Matt's garage to practice for the show. That said, Matt is definitely not performing as well as he usually does. In fact, it's awful.
I wanted to soar across the sky, but something was holding me down. What had me cower in fear? What was it I couldn't hear?
Oh, we look like groupies. Yeah, groupies with bad taste.
Answer near, but still so unclear. I was fighting the demon in me.
It's not even in time, it's just unbearable. It's interesting that Will is sitting there because this suggests that to the rest of the school, she and Matt are still a couple. And I can understand why she would let everyone believe that. After all, she and the real Matt are still a couple, and she probably doesn't want to further ruin Matt's reputation because if he ever does come back, she doesn't want to have, have given him an extra problem to have to deal with, everyone thinking that him and her had some kind of big dramatic breakup. But I imagine it must be really difficult knowing the entire school thinks you're Shagon's girlfriend. I mean, they don't know he's Shagon, but they do know that he's acting totally differently, and that's probably reflecting badly on Will. Even in this scene, Matt is being a total dick to Nigel, showing that Shagon's really not trying to maintain Matt's persona at all.
Matt? Man, what's the deal? You're totally not yourself.
Maybe it's the song.
The song is sweet. You wrote the song, man.
Try another. Try The Will to Love. Or Don't You Feel That One anymore, Matt.
But then in the twist of the century, we see the real Matt for the first time in 7 episodes. And as it turns out, he's been there all along, trapped inside Shagon. His consciousness is in there, but he has no control over his body or his actions. And this is just so tragic to think about, because that means that he has been there the whole time, watching as Shagon hurts his friends and his girlfriend and their families, and knowing that he was completely powerless to stop it. Get this boy some therapy. Maybe him and Caleb can get a discount if they book together. I don't know, like a refer a friend scheme or something.
Dude, you are so embarrassing me. It's pointless. Not pointless if you blow your cover, Shagoff. Nerissa wouldn't like that now, would she? Nigel's already suspicious. Give me a little more control over our brain and body, and I'll get you through to... You know I'm right.
I love this scene. I love the way that Matt messes with Shagon. Shagon has been getting in everybody's head since the day that he showed up, and it's about time that someone gave it back to him. But God, I wish we got to see more of what was going on up there, because this is like the worst roommate sitcom you've ever seen. This is 2 broken dudes. Also, Shagoff cracks me up. Seeing Matt for the first time in weeks gets me every time. Like, I enjoy Shagon and he's iconic, but I miss Matt so much when he's gone, and actually hearing his real voice again, it just... my heart. So even though he hates every second of it, Shagon allows Matt enough control to perform the song, and it's great. Disney, give us the official release of The Demon in Me, you colossal losers. If I could play instruments, I would do you a cover of it, but I can't.
Come on, forget Will to Love. Let's just nail The Demon in Me. From the top. 1, 2.
Didn't know I couldn't fly. Didn't wanna be stuck on the ground. Wanted to soar across the sky, but something was holding me down. What had me cower in fear? What was it I couldn't see?
Better? Not great, but less painful.
Here I was fighting the demon in me, the demon in me, the demon in me. The battle.
Hey, Lynn, there's something I need to tell you.
Seconds, please.
What is it, Grandma?
Eat your veggies.
The demon in me.
Yo, Raya, when are we gonna rehearse? What's the rush? I'm a genius on the guitar, and Kurt started playing the drums when he was 6.
My strength wearing thin, I was trapped by the demon in me.
Is everything all right, Yanni?
Everything's perfect. Too perfect.
I asked myself, what did I want? Kick back or just go for broke? My dreams continued to haunt. I'd get close, and the demon said joke. But somehow you gotta step up. Stop buying excuses for free. I went face to face, laid claim to my space, and rocked the demon in me. The demon in me. I recovered my spark, got free of the dark, and rocked the demon in me. The demon in me. I rocked the demon in me.
You can see the confusion on Will's face when he starts singing properly, this moment of shock that Shagon can sound so much like Matt. And again, it must be sending pangs of hurt through her since it's just another reminder of what she's lost. I do have to wonder though, when did Matt write this song? Like, was it after Shagon took over and Shagon just let him write it down for some reason? Or was it a metaphorical song he wrote before Shagon and it just happened to sort of become a art imitates life situation, or life imitates art, whichever way you want to put it. We'll never know. Someone asked Greg on his blog, I don't know. The next day at school, Will bumps into Shagon in the hallway.
So, I guess you found your voice just in time for the battle tomorrow.
Found my voice. Find your boyfriend.
I will find Matt. And somehow, I know you're gonna help me.
Count on it. Count on it never happening. Cool! I got through! That was me! Don't press your luck, parasite. Will threatens my hold over this body. She must be destroyed. I won't let you! You can't! I can. I am the demon in you.
So for the first time, Matt actually manages to break through and use his body without Shagon allowing him to do it, which makes Shagon realise that his hold on Matt's body and Matt's consciousness is weakening. He has to take Will down now before he loses his grip on Matt and disappears. Also, Matt losing his shit when Shagon says he's going to destroy Will just makes my heart sing. My precious boy. Again, he's had to watch Shagon terrorise Will for weeks or months now. He must be losing his entire mind. Later that day, Will encounters Shagon at the stairwell, but this time Shagon has a new plan up his sleeve. False sincerity.
Don't you have eardrums to shatter?
No, I'm done.
Oh, don't tell me. Stage fright?
No. I mean, I'm done slaving for Nerissa. But she's not done with me. Will, I need your protection. If I bring you to the real Matt, will you help?
That's a big if.
I've stashed him somewhere safe, but the other knights are searching.
I'll unite the Guardians.
And while you scare them up, the knights will hunt Matt down. You want him back or not?
Poor Will is so desperate to get Matt back that she agrees to Shagon's plan, even though she knows there's a huge chance that he's lying through his teeth, which he is. But who can blame her? I'm still surprised she's even walking and talking and not spinning in a chair for 4 months like Bella and New Moon. On the Battle of the Band stage, Nigel says that he can't find Matt, which prompts suspicion from Tirani and Cornelia, considering neither of them have seen Will recently either. And that's because Shagon is leading her right into a trap on the roof of the school gym. But inside Matt's head, the real Matt is desperately trying to get through to Will and warn her, and he breaks my heart in the process.
Will, you have to hear me, please. It's a trick, a trap.
Will realizes it's a trap when she steps out onto the roof and realizes that the Knights of Destruction are gathered there. Also, this scene is underscored by the worst song you will ever hear in your life. It's called I'm Somebody Too, but you would never know that since the lyrics are completely indecipherable the way that Lauren Tom is singing them. I said Shagon is the most evil character in the show, but actually I was wrong. It's Alchemy for making us listen to this. Cornelia and Tirani arrive on the roof for a fight, but Will is really struggling to keep her cool. And you have to remember that the more angry, the more hate-filled she becomes, the stronger Shagon is. So the more she loses her shit, the more Shagon's going to be able to kill her. It's a really bad, vicious cycle.
The battle is on!
Okay, Flame Girl. Let's see just how much heat you can take. Ah!
More than your boyfriend!
He is not my boyfriend!
After I'm through with you, you'll beg to bring Matt back to me!
After I'm through with her, there won't be any Matt to bring back.
That line is so dark. He's basically saying that once he kills Will, Matt will be so devastated that he will just fall apart and Shagon will be able to take full control of his body and Matt will cease to exist. That's brutal. The writers for this were insane. May I remind you, this is still a kid's show. Like, they did not care. They were writing the most insane shit. But, I mean, that's also why the show holds up so well when I'm 27 years old, you know what I mean? Like, if it was a boring kids show, I probably would have lost my interest in it back when I was, like, 12. But I didn't, because it's so fucking good! Anyway. So Will is losing the battle against Shagon because her hatred is so intense that all she's doing is fueling his power. And Matt is trying really hard to fight him off in the inner world to save Will.
Draw the heat from her body while I keep her on ice.
Even your lightning comes with a hatred chaser. If she can't stop me, do you really think your fists stand a chance? No. Wrong weapon.
Matt realizes that he can't defeat Shagon and neither can Will because she's just too consumed with hatred and pain from losing him. But if she knew the truth, that he was alive and that he's safe, more or less, then that pain would turn to strength. He needs to let her know that he's still in there and that he's okay. It's the only way that she's ever going to be able to beat Shagon. It's the only way she's going to be able to get her emotions in check for long enough to take him down. Oh, meanwhile, Alchemy finally stops assaulting everyone's ears and lets Uriah take the stage to sing Incy Wincy Spider. Somehow that's still better than her song though. Inside Matt's head, Matt finally finds the right weapon, his guitar, and let's just watch what happens.
Right weapon. Winged angel from above, help me find the will to love.
That's Matt's voice. That's Matt's song. The one he wrote for me. It's you, Matt! You're inside Shagon, and I hear you!
Game, set, match, Shagon. So shake off!
Matt?
You pulled me back, Will. Saved me from myself. Let her go, Huggles.
That's Huggles?
Yep. Sick 'em, boy.
The battle is not over!
It is over. Time for the Knight's power to serve a higher goal.
So Matt uses the power of song and his love for Will to break through and finally regain control of his body. And can we talk about the will to love? We'll hear it properly later, but Winged Angel from Above helped me find the will to love. It's just one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. Like, my heart. She is just the will to love. Find yourself a boy like Matt Olson if they even exist. Meanwhile, over at some volcano, Narissa has finally managed to reunite the former Guardians and no longer needs the Knights of Destruction, so she pulls their energy back into her staff, meaning the spirit of Shagon and Kor returns to whence it came, leaving just Matt and Mr. Huggles. And let's watch.
Guardians, unite! Look! Flame!
Ember!
Fire!
Mistress, please!
Water!
Air! Quintessence!
Don't get washed away, washed away, washed away. Don't get washed away, washed away, washed away.
I still remember the first time I saw this scene as a kid. Like, I wasn't even a big Will and Matt shipper back then because I was an idiot 10-year-old and was annoyed that they took time away from Cruella and Caleb, which was my favourite ship. But even I found myself tearing up at this moment because just the pure joy in Will's face and the tears in both hers and Matt's eyes is just beautiful. I'm not okay. It's just a lot to take in. It's just a shame that all you can hear in the background of this otherwise perfect moment is Uriah yelling, "Washed away, washed away, washed away." The writers were insane. And so Matt, the real Matt, makes it to the Battle of the Bands and decides that they should play The Will to Love.
For our final combatants,
Hey, dude. Our turn yet?
Matt! Sweet! Where you been?
Finding my will to rock. Speaking of which, we're doing the will to love.
But we didn't rehearse it.
Trust me, we'll nail it.
let's hear it for Rec 55!
So many strangers on the street. Yeah, nearly everyone you meet. Can't relate, can't translate, can't create a connection. No. Easier to keep your distance. Tread the path of least resistance. Don't engage, keep to your cage, stay off stage.
Go, Nigel! Caleb is so writing me a song.
And everything changes. She's there. Life rearranges. Winged angel from above. Help me find the will to love, the will to love.
You know, for once, it looks like the battle goes to the good guys.
The UK version of this episode actually has an extra portion of the song in the credits where the lyrics are "Winged angel from above, she is just the will to love." And I'm not okay. She is the will to love. She is just the will to love. She is the will, as in her name is Will, and she is the will to love, and she gave me the will to love, and
Winged angel from above. She is just the will to love, the will to love, the will to love. Oh, the will to love, the will to love, the will to love. Hey, the will to love.
I absolutely love this song. It's beautiful. Will and Matt are perfect. I love them. I'm a wreck 55. I need to lie down. I'm emo. I need to take a break. So that's it. Matt has returned and we are back to our regular programming with the next episode. T is for trauma. Near the start of this episode, Sheffield gets a new transfer student named Stacey, who is a senior allegedly, despite looking about 27, but whatever. And immediately all the boys in the school start drooling all over her, including Martin, Nigel, and Eric, despite ostensibly being in love with Irma, Tarani, and Haylin. But Matt is completely disinterested.
Make way! Make way!
Yo, little dude, who is that?
Stacy, senior, transferred in.
Righteous.
Is that my Andrew and my Martin drooling over the new babe?
Irma, are you really in any position to be territorial?
Excuse me.
I don't know. Are you?
Oh, you are too sweet to wait in line. Make way! Make way!
Nigel? What's with your boy?
He's getting in touch with his inner jerk.
Although it quickly becomes apparent what's really going on, Stacey is actually Nerissa, because of course she is, and she's got all the boys under a spell. Will opines that Matt is probably immune due to all the Shagon nonsense of the past few months in this ridiculously cute scene.
It isn't love, just a spell. Of course! That must be how she hooked Nigel and other guys.
Well, how come I'm not all hot and drooling? Well, I mean, I'm hot, but...
Maybe when you defeated your inner jerk, Shagon, you became immune?
Well, I am hot is one of those lines that makes me think that in another life, Matt and Cornelia would have made a good couple. Like, there is an alternate universe where Will ended up with Caleb and Cornelia ended up with Matt. There is another reality out in the multiverse one where that worked and I shipped it, but it's not this reality. The gang had this brief battle at the mall after discovering Nerissa has reunited the former Guardians, and realising that they need to reassess the situation, Will folds everyone to Kandrakar, where Haylin proceeds to have a breakdown over her grandmother's betrayal, prompting this sweet moment from Matt and Cornelia.
My grandma's supposed to love me. She does. In her true heart and soul, where Nerissa can't touch her, she still loves you.
And she's fighting, like I did. Your love will help her beat this, trust me.
But she's my grandma.
I've always really liked that scene because if the will to love doesn't confirm that what Matt feels for Will is love, this definitely does. We never get an I love you from any of the couples in the show, but I would say this is pretty close. Also, shout out to Cornelia for being a good friend, and no one ever gives credit to how good a person she is when she actually wants to be. There isn't really a lot else to talk about in this episode, but I did want to show this little moment just because it cracks me up.
Do you see her?
Not just her. She brought the whole pep squad and the robotics club.
Sends me. Hilarious. So there isn't really a lot of Will and Matt content to talk about in U is for Undivided, but there is something significant we need to take into account in order to make sense of the next few episodes. I mean, I assume if you're watching this, you've watched W.I.T.C.H, but I recently watched Caitlin McKillop's video on Casey and Brett from Casey Undercover, and I've never even seen an entire episode of that show, so if I can be that weird, I'm sure other people can too. I really don't care for this episode, and I had to rewatch the whole thing just to make sure I hadn't missed any significant Will and Matt moments, so you should appreciate the sacrifice that I've made here, just saying. If you watch my ranking every episode of Witch video, you'll see that I had this one in like the bottom 5 or something. I don't care for it. Anywho, in this episode, we find out that for reasons known only to Greg Wiseman, Cornelia's little sister, Lillian, is the heart of Earth, and her powers have manifested way too early. After a load of hoo-ha with a magic castle and a dragon, Cornelia convinces Lillian to give power to her 3 regents who will hold it until she's old enough to use it and control it properly. Do I think this was just an excuse to give Matt back his powers? 100%. But yeah, so Lillian gives her power to Matt, Mr. Huggles, and Napoleon, which turns Napoleon into some kind of deviant art creation, Huggles into Cor, and Matt into Shagon. Sort of. Shagon arrives on the roof and explains what happened.
Fools! The heart of Earth. Its power has been siphoned.
And you'll never guess by whom.
Shagon?
Little Lil gave us her power, and look what happened. Guess old habits die hard.
You said gave us her power?
Myself, Huggles, and Napoleon. Did we miss much?
I missed you, dear heart. What do you say we destroy the Guardians together, for old time's sake?
I say. Sorry, Nerissa. Under new management. We're the regents of Earth, and you're trespassing on our mistress's turf.
You so freaked me out with that old habits thing.
Old habits. New tricks. Guess I'm hardwired for the Shagon morph, but now I control the on-off switch. I'm still mad inside, and I don't feed on hate, just Lillian power.
You're like a guardian.
I know. Are we, like, perfect for each other or what?
They are such dorks, and I love them. Are we perfect for each other or what? Adorable. 10 out of 10. I love them. Now we move on to a much more Will and Matty episode. I shouldn't say Matty, that makes me think of Matty Healy. Oh no. V's for Victory sees Will competing in a swimming tournament. Everyone is there cheering her on, including Matt, her parents and their partners, the rest of which, and even Caleb, who has made the journey to Earth, especially for the occasion because he's a great friend and people should appreciate him more. Will ends up losing the race by, like, a second to a girl named Mandy Anderson, and after getting out of the pool, Will spots Matt congratulating Mandy on her win.
That was amazing!
Matt, I didn't see you there.
And I never saw you sprint like that at summer camp.
Oh, you know how those water wings can slow you down.
Hey, Will, great race. You almost had it. I'm all...
Sorry, are you talking to me? Or are you still congratulating my competition?
Will, I didn't mean it. She's just a really old friend.
Racing against your girlfriend?
Not bad for your first meet, Vandom, but you'll have to come in first the next 2 days to win the gold.
Bye, Matt!
So why do I feel like I already lost?
So, a bit of context here, Mandy actually comes from the comics where she fills pretty much the exact same function as she does here. She's Will's rival at a swim competition, but also a childhood friend of Matt's. Will becomes jealous when she sees Matt and Mandy hugging and assumes that they must be in a relationship, but as it turns out, Matt was only hugging Mandy because her parents were going through a divorce and she was really upset. And Will realises that if she'd bothered to get to know Mandy instead of jumping to conclusions, she would have realised that they were actually going through similar experiences and could have been good friends and a shoulder for each other to cry on. But she didn't learn that lesson straight away, and neither does Show Will. So we see here that Will feels hurt that Matt congratulated her competition, but as Matt says, Mandy is his friend. And let me be clear, policing who your partner can and cannot speak to is big red flag behaviour and should not be tolerated. But I did stupid shit like this when I was 14, so I can't be too hard on her. Stuff happens and Phobos ends up enrolling at Sheffield and becomes Matt's roommate because this show is insane, but none of that is important. Back at the swimming pool, it's time for the next round of the competition, and Will is being a dick again.
Well, good luck.
Could you excuse us a sec? You're not Nerissa's thrall anymore.
So?
So you're supposed to be on my side, not Mandy's personal pep squad.
Wait. Are you jealous?
No, I just stay away from that girl.
Orders? Got enough of those from Nerissa. Never thought I'd get them from you.
No way I'm losing you to her.
Matt telling Will off for giving him orders is everything. She's being ridiculous and he should say it. It's clear though that Will is struggling with some deep insecurity here, plus probably the residual pain of Matt's months-long disappearance. She feels like a failure. She couldn't beat the Knights of Destruction, she can't beat Nerissa or the former Guardians, and now she can't even beat Mandy in a swim competition. And since she's so low in self-esteem, she probably thinks she's going to lose Matt as well. It doesn't excuse the way she's acting, but it does give some explanation as to why she's doing it. During the race, Will is doing really well, and Matt is cheering her on despite being annoyed at her, but Will realises that Mandy is neck and neck with her, so she uses quintessence on the lane dividers, causing Mandy's ankle to get tangled up. Will wins and Matt congratulates her, but Will feels down knowing that she didn't actually win of her own accord.
Wow! First place! Ooh, what?
Will, you were great. Really.
Yes, a bewitching performance. Now that's the kind of magic it takes for victory. I approve.
I gotta hit the showers.
job, Will. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. You know, if it hadn't been for that line.
Nah, you won fair and square. You should be proud.
Proud. Right.
Will decides not to go out and celebrate with her friends, which leaves them without the Heart of Kandrakar when they are attacked by Chicken. Phobos, feeling that his protection detail is a bit lacking, says that they need to change their strategy, and the next day at school, he's acting really peculiar. But not as peculiar as Matt in this scene. So Will is obviously furious at this, and at some point during the race she has a change of heart and decides that she no longer wants to be mad at Mandy. Mandy wins the race, and the two of them hug it out, which is very sweet. But Matt is less happy, spending the entire race stone-faced with his arms folded. But Phobos is really impressed with Will's performance.
Will do good job. Good job, do Will.
Thanks.
If that hadn't clued you into what's really going on, nothing will. Will is pleased with her silver medal, but Matt is less than impressed. Thankfully, Phobos is there to big Will up.
Hey guys, check it out. Do I look good in silver or what?
Only if you're content with failure. Don't listen to him. You did great.
Let's get some ice cream.
Chicken attack, and Will tells Matt to guard Phobos, and Matt says,
Don't worry, he's safe with me.
Will's Phobos is like,
Almost too pretty to be destroyed.
Does that line sound familiar to you?
Caleb too pretty to be destroyed too.
Suddenly, 3 Phoboses show up for the fight. Yeah, it turns out Matt, Caleb, and Blanc have been glamoured as Phobos since the attack in the park, and Phobos has been glamoured as Matt, which means it wasn't Matt being a dick to Will in the latter half of the episode, it was Phobos.
So you weren't hitting on me?
Or eating crickets.
Or kissing Mandy.
You kissed Mandy?
Will ends the episode by saying that a victory at any cost is no victory at all, not if you lose yourself in the process, having realised that winning isn't what's truly important, and that turning into an arsehole just because you want to win makes you unlikable. It's not being a great swimmer that made Matt fall for her, it's who she is as a person. If she loses that from trying to be the best, that's when she'll really lose Matt. But thankfully, that doesn't happen, and the episode ends. There's very little to say about this episode, but there is this tiny moment where Will and Matt wink at each other, so I'll include it.
Speaking of, we'd better get into our costumes, right guys?
Right. Okay, everybody out.
Xanadu also only has 2 tiny scenes to speak of, so here's one.
Fools!
The other is when everyone is folding out of the Infinite City. Will is in charge, so she's deliberately holding off going through the portal to ensure everyone gets out, but as soon as she calls for the Guardians to move, Matt yanks her through the portal to save her.
Guardians, now!
Cursed pestling!
Look out!
Unfortunately, this leaves Caleb and Blanc behind, so thanks for that one, Matt. Y is for Yield once again brings us only one moment of Will worrying about Matt. And that's it. Now on to the final episode of the series.
No argument.
Matt!
The series finale does give us some nice Will and Matt moments to look at. The first is after the Guardians arrive back on Earth to prepare for their battle with Cedric.
I'll gather the regents when the fighting starts.
When the fighting starts, there's something I need you to do.
I don't like it.
But you know it has to happen.
Yeah, but Will, if this all goes south, I'm gonna be beside you.
I know. I was always a sucker for doomed romance.
Yo, Romeo and Juliet, we got a mega battle coming.
Yeah, okay. I'll do my part. Just be careful. All of you.
I have two things to say here. One, this is adorable and I love Matt so much, and Will calling him a doomed romance is heartbreaking and I am emo. Also, the fact that Will tells them all to be careful because he loves them all and they're all his friends. He is just the sweetest guy and I love him so much. Two, I think Irma's being a twat here because they're all about to go into the worst battle they've ever faced with Cedric, who currently has the power of like a jillion hearts and Phobos and is just like ridiculously OP at this point. And like, well, Irma's like can't even give Will and Matt 10 seconds to have a moment. She's just grumpy because she's single. That's what this is. And dealing with her like repressed homosexuality. That's canon, okay? That's canon. You can't even come at me. But besides, like, Cornelia and Caleb got to have their big kiss moment in Kandrakar. So, like, let Will and Matt have their moment in the snow, okay? Just let them kiss. Anyway, later in the episode, we get the middle part of this conversation, because the final few episodes of this show jump around more than a kid in a bouncy castle. And so we get more of an idea of Matt and Will's working relationship in this scene, which is nice.
Forget it, Will. There's no way I'm skipping the battle.
Matt, please, Earth's blissfully clueless, and we want to keep it that way.
Sure, it's a pain juggling double identities.
But we like having normal lives to come home to.
Win or lose, if Cedric's revealed to the world...
There won't be normal anything anymore. For anyone. I get it. So what do you need?
We need the Regents to turn all of Heatherfield into one ginormous glamour zone.
Towards the end of the episode, the Guardians become trapped in their elemental forms and can't change back, and when Matt realizes this, he comes to see what's going on.
Will.
Go, kiddo. With Cedric down, we can handle the glamour.
Cornelia, please.
Irma, wake up!
Snap out of it, granddaughter! Excuse me, my granddaughter.
Why can't they come back?
They've evolved beyond humanity, lost themselves. They can come back. They've simply forgotten they should.
We touched the dragons.
And got burned.
So this is all that's left of us? I want my humanity back!
What's humanity again? And where do we find it?
Will, please, come back to me.
Irma! Tarani! Cornelia! Hey, Lynn!
Follow the voices. Follow me. Matt?
Okay. That's a trick we're not trying again anytime soon.
It was over.
The relief in Matt's voice when Will wakes up is just so sweet. He really thought that she was gone for a minute there. I love them. I love them. And the fact that his voice brought her back from the abyss. You know, she's like, follow the voices. And he's like, Will, come back to me. They're perfect. And honestly, doing this recap has only made me realize that even more than before. It's made me realize just how perfect they are and how much I truly love this ship. And then at the very end, we see them walking together, holding hands.
The rest of us just tried to find our way back to normal.
And that's it. That's the entire story of Matt and Will in the TV series. Thank you for coming along on this journey with me. As I said, as a kid, I didn't really care for Will and Matt as a couple. Will was my least favourite guardian, and as much as I liked Matt, I just didn't really pay much attention. And I don't think I appreciated either of them as characters or their relationship as much as a child. But as I've become older, they've really grown on me, both as individuals and as characters. Matt has become one of my absolute favourite characters in the entire show, and he's just the sweetest guy ever, and the relationship arc that him and Will have is truly beautiful. The story that the writers wrote for them is gorgeous, and I really hope you've enjoyed reliving it with me. I've had a real blast revisiting all these scenes and breaking them down. It was a very different experience than doing the Cornelia and Caleb video, because I've been, you know, my brain has been like 100% Cornelia and Caleb trash since I was 9 years old. But doing Will and Matt's has really been exploring something a bit different, because I really had to put more thought into it, because I can't regurgitate every Will and Matt scene just like off the top of my head the way that I can with Cornelia and Caleb. Like, I could sit here and like I could list you every single episode and every single scene that they ever had together, because I've been doing it since I was, you know, I've been doing it for almost 20 years at this point, you know, like 18 years now I've been trash for this ship. Whereas going through this one actually involved a lot more like research and like having to actually rewatch scenes and rewatch episodes, and it was really nice because it was really nice to actually just watch like all of the Will and Matt content from start to finish and just really go on that journey with them, and it made me appreciate even more just how great a couple they are and how much I like them, and especially how much I love them as characters. Like I say, like Will was my least favorite Guardian as a child, and I don't know if that's changed, but I certainly love her a lot more than I did as a kid, and I think she's so relatable and just such a great character, and I love Matt so much. So getting to go through like all of the Matt content of the entire series was a great trip for me, because I will happily just sit and consume Matt Olson content until my dying day. The boy is my fave. I love him so much. So yeah, I've had a really great time making this one. I'm intending to do Nigel and Tarani next, and I certainly have a lot of things to say about that one. Yeah, I have some thoughts on the Nigel and Tarani relationship, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Sound off in the comments. Let me know how you feel about Will and Matt. Let me know what your favourite Will and Matt scenes are and how much you love this relationship. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Winged angel from